Hi, my name is Maggie MacAlpine, and I'm the Director of Cybersecurity Partnerships and Evangelism here at Seceon. And with me today is Seceon's co-founder and Chief Data Scientist, Smit Kadakia, to talk a little bit about how AI and ML have influenced the cybersecurity landscape. So Smit, to just begin, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your background in cybersecurity and sort of how you came to become an expert on this topic.
Yeah, it's actually an interesting journey over a number of years. I've been into variety of industries, and it's been always a challenge about how do you make sure that the cybersecurity does not get into your normal business. I've been in the supply chain industry. I've been into the enterprise application software industry, and so on. And initially, they were all on the premise, deployed the customer sites and so on. But since late 90s, things started to move into the cloud environment. People are starting to use things that were hosted by either in the third-party clouds or at the vendors themselves. And we found that the security became an important aspect of it, as a lot of data that were quite sensitive to the customers were being transferred back and forth. And we did see that the anxiety that our customers had, we were trying to address by providing them some sort of confidence, talking about our infrastructure. But there was literally nothing about how are we preventing this if it happened without our knowledge of who is going to be doing this and why they are doing it, what is of interest to them, and so on type of thing. And if it happened, what are we going to do to protect the customers? So all of those things together kind of made it very interesting for me to understand what is it that we can do on a proactive basis to cover it in a very comprehensive all around basis to ensure that the customers get a lot more confidence and they can sleep better at night. And in turn, we'll sleep better at night as well. So that was the reason behind why I said that, oh, let's start to do this thing. Additionally, I was in one of the healthcare startup, and that has a very interesting aspect of machine learning and AI in the data science side, where typically when you go to a doctor's office, doctors will ask you the first question, and whether we like it or not, the first answer that we give starts to become so biased in terms of the questions the doctor is going to ask that at that point, uh, that the independence of what you are really going through is going to be not properly judged, and the outcome that you are going to get is going to be based on the initial bias that is set up, and it just cascades from there. So all of those things were very interesting for me from the AI machine learning perspective and the security perspective, and I thought that the marrying them together is probably a really interesting aspect to go into, and here I am.
Right. And now we have, Seceon and everything we've built here. And we've also had all the changes to cybersecurity over the last decade or so. I've been in this field for about, 15 years myself, and the changes have just been enormous. And now in the middle of all of this, we have the popularization of generative AI, and that's sort of beginning to transform and change everything. I mean, cybersecurity has changed so much, and you've seen, even more of it and been really in the thick of that transformation.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's really interesting. If you look at it over the last um, um, decade or so, you would find that the people who are doing the cybersecurity from the defensive perspective, they were very used to looking at, I know better, so I'm going to be able to figure out what's going on, and I'm going to find out if there's an attack or not. You talk about machine learning, and there is this question mark that you see in their face, that the false positives, it's like a nightmare to them. Uh, the outcome of all of that is that they had a very little trust in ML, or machine learning as we know it. And when you talk to them about, okay, I'm going to have something that is going to help you, the trust shows up pretty clearly. They would say that, hey, can you explain to me how machine learning came up with this particular outcome? And the moment you start to explain, you would notice that the 9 out of 10 times they will interrupt you, and they'll say, hey, what type of algorithms you are using? Now, if you look back at it and say that, okay, why algorithm is that much more important as opposed to the outcome that I'm trying to give you, right? So the trust became a really, really important factor in terms of people who are trying to use machine learning and AI in the cybersecurity space. So the landscape has changed from then to now, and we'll probably go through that as we move forward here. So this was one of the important aspect of it. The second thing that I also observed when we started to work through this area in the early part of my journey into the cybersecurity space with machine learning and AI is that the people did not know the difference between machine learning and AI. They always thought that it was one and the same, and they will interchangeably use one over the other. But one of the important distinction that is quite fundamental, but people tend to ignore that, and I think that the now it has become a lot more black and white, is that the machine learning is the art of processing lots and lots of data in a really, really fast pace. And AI is primarily what the human beings do. How can you make it as fast as possible in terms of processing the data, but but making the decision out of thousands of decisions that are possible in that situation. Uh, so the best decision in an optimal way at a fast pace is what really AI is about. Now, if you apply that to cybersecurity, uh, there are lots and lots of data that gets processed on a daily basis in almost any industry that you talk about. All of that data needs to be reviewed, needs to be processed, and like a needle in a haystack, you need to figure out which specific portion pattern really amounts to a likely cybersecurity threat for you. Identifying that without technology like machine learning and AI is next to impossible. So those type of things one needs to really think about in terms of how we have evolved over the last decade in applying machine learning AI from basically not having much trust to start to feel good about it and start to see that, hey, we are at a point that if I didn't have that, I will not be able to defend my organization as well as I should be. And you see that literally in the industry where the number of attacks that have become public has increased regularly over the last few decades. Uh, and that is because the people have been slow in migrating to the modern technology, and the people who have migrated to modern technologies, you found that the based on the industry data that the amount of money that they've saved as a result of it is per incident almost $2.5 million. So in a reasonable size organization, so it's unbelievable that once you start to build the trust in machine learning and AI, that how much it's going to benefit you, and rest is history in that sense.
Right. And now I really loved a few things you said there, like about how there's a lot of confusion around what these terms mean and how this has been, really changing sort of the field and what it can mean for defenders. And obviously, we've also seen that it can help attackers. So I was going to ask next, where have AI and ML, in your opinion, been the most effective in real world cybersecurity applications?
Yeah, so this is really interesting question, and the way that you mentioned that uh, the use of AI and machine learning is not limited to just defenders. It is also very important to observe that the even attackers have access to the same technology that the defenders have as well. Uh, so uh, if you look at uh, how one can use this to defend themselves, um, there are a few things that will stand out. One is that the what we mentioned in the earlier part of this podcast, that there is vast amount of data that is going through the infrastructure, and there is no sign of that volume going down. In actuality, it's actually growing so fast and so rapidly that you need to really make sure that it's uh, processed at a fastest possible speed. So machine learning AI over the last decade has helped people understand, and in cybersecurity defense space, that the figure out where I see what is happening in my environment to be different now than what was happening before. and does it really map to things that is looking more like a threat? Now, when we say threat, what does it mean? Uh,
Mhm.
um, you think about it as from the perspective of the anomalies. Okay, so when you say anomalies, you'll say that uh, okay, I'm in this location today and I'm accessing this set of servers. I'm talking to this set of people. I'm communicating through this set of external organization or contractors through my emails or social media and so on type of things. Those things are the standard behaviors that you do. Uh, as we go through the analysis of the data, you'll figure out that this particular day, this particular second or minute, certain types of activities that I'm doing is totally off. Now, is it normal? In many cases, you'll find that it's normal. Identifying that pattern that is different, that is one part of anomaly detection. But the second part of it is is that anomaly really mapping to the cybersecurity threat? That is another important aspect of it. And I think that over the last decade, the people are going to benefit, people have benefited, and they are going to constantly benefit about not only finding anomalies, but mapping them to what actually attacker patterns are, and then identifying those things, and then saying that, okay, this is the one that I need to address in one form or the other on a proactive basis is what the defense is learning and applying in their day-to-day strategies to ensure that they are staying ahead of the game in one form or the other.
Mhm. Mhm. And this is quite different from how things used to be. I mean, not just as an accelerant, I would imagine.
Yeah, it is. Historically, people were always looking at things after the fact. They would have seen that, oh, some threat intel told you that this particular signature is now known. And then people are going to look at writing some tools, writing some rules, looking at that to figure it out. But, it's after the fact.
Right.
So usually people are, attackers are a lot more smart about it, and they know that what are the known attacks, and they know that you are protecting yourself against those. So they either try to change that signature or apt or whatever you call that at that point, and they are going to try to go under the radar from that, or change it to a point where your tools that you are using are not going to be able to detect that. And once you get to that point, you actually lose the battle. So think about it like a
Mhm.
chess. In a chess, if you want to win a game, you need to be forcing what your opponents are going to be moving. So those
Mhm.
forcing those moves and planning your moves to beat those moves way ahead of the opponent, uh, basically in turn planning, 5, 6, 7 moves ahead of time is really, really critical to succeed in winning the game. And similar way, if you want to win against the attacker and make sure that you are causing those attacks as early as possible, you have to think like a chess player. Okay,
Mhm.
and we all know that it's not quite easy, but leveraging machine learning and AI to plan those moves ahead of time with a full knowledge of what the attacker might be thinking about is the name of the game. That is one way to stay ahead of the game.
Yeah, I really love that point about the sort of the chess game, because cybersecurity kind of is one of those rare fields where there isn't a single solved problem. You never solve it and then it goes away forever, because we're facing adversaries, we're facing other humans who are
Mhm,
constantly evolving as well.
mhm.
And to your point about the chess game, you are trying to make software, tools, platforms that can stay ahead of these attackers, that can help people, help the defender think ahead of them. So what would you say is one of the major challenges in building these reliable, resilient systems to combat threat actors?
Yeah. This is a really interesting point. Biggest challenge, at least the perceived biggest challenge, is that the people feel that the tools that they have are going to generate a lot of false positives. That is one of the
Mhm.
biggest challenge that people talk about. Second thing that they talk about is that and I've actually seen that in the industry as well, is that the many of those tools that you are going to use, they are not giving you the outcomes in a time frame that you need to ensure that the risk is mitigated as fast as possible. The time is money. Time is of essence when you talk about cybersecurity. The longer attacker is staying in your environment, staying near your sensitive data, near your money, the bigger damage or the larger damage that you are going to experience. You want to mitigate that. And these are the challenges, and you kind of see them in the industry, that almost any news items that you see about the attack or the damage that has been caused, they would say that the attacker has been in the environment for days, weeks, months before they actually took action and did all the damage. Okay, so time is of essence, and time is money, and time is your biggest enemy in that sense.
Mhm.
Okay, so I hope
Absolutely.
that so two
No,
aspects.
that's actually great. You've actually been so thorough that a lot of my questions you've sort of already covered. So, just speaking of time and staying ahead in the future, what is an area in? I kind of want to leave this as our last question. This looking towards the future. What areas of cybersecurity, AI research, and cybersecurity innovation are you personally most excited for?
Yeah, this is another important aspect. So traditionally, everybody has been focused on protecting their infrastructure. Now, that is obviously a good thing, but more importantly, you want to be proactive. You want to attack things before it comes to your doorstep. So, what do you do about that? So, the dark web data, the social media interactions. The things that people in the industry are experiencing in terms of attacks, having knowledge of all of those things, and the research being done to map those things into how do you use that to identify what exposure you have from within your organization in that space, and protecting yourself proactively uh, from those type of interactions that are outside of your normal area, and what research is being done to see who are the risk areas in your environment, and how do you mitigate them ahead of time is really really interesting aspect. And the current model that people are using through the through proactive protection against this thing is the uh, 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 scoring part of it from the security scorecard. There are a number of companies that have popped up that are doing that. But those are still doing it as a kind of an assessment, but they're not really applying machine learning AI to understand the behavior of uh, your internal entities, whether it's the user, host, or whatnot, email address, and so on. But they also have to start to analyze how the dark web actors are behaving. What are the areas that they are going after? How are they figuring out what industry is more important? Where do you rank as an entity in their eyes? Those type of research areas are really, really important. And I think that I'm kind of curious and always looking out for what are the different innovations that's happening in that area to protect us as an organization and my customers to mitigate their risk as early as possible in the life cycle.
Yeah, and that's so this future of threat intelligence, this future of predictive behaviors and proactive defense and things like that. This is all really fascinating. Just speaking as somebody who's been in the field myself for this long. So, with that, is there anything else you wanted to close out with, Smit? Anything to plug yourself?
Yeah, so I think that the uh, uh, couple of things I would like to bring out. One is that the many of the industry uh, uh, decision makers are thinking cybersecurity as a liability, and they don't look at it as a revenue generating item. One of the important aspect is that you know, think about it like if you get attacked, the risk that you have is that the business can just vanish, and
Yes.
you should look at it as you use all the things that you are doing in the cybersecurity area to get a competitive edge in front of your customers, and uh, look at that as how can I increase my revenue by providing the things that I'm doing on a proactive basis to protect your data, Mr. Customer, and try to gain the business by showing them that you are a lot more attuned to what is going on in the industry, and you are going to be the most trusted partner or the vendor that they would ever have, and use that to increase your revenue and provide the ROI to the customer by protecting them as completely as possible. So I think that that is a really, really important aspect that I would like people to think about and not look at that as a liability in any way, sense, and form, any way that one can think about. I hope that helps.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Well, on that note, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today, Smit, and share your wisdom and share your experience in this field and what you're looking forward to. With that, I think we'll close out. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it tremendously. Hope this is helpful to everybody. Looking forward to seeing you guys in the cybersecurity space.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.